You ever look up at the night sky and just wonder, how fast is the moon actually moving? Or the planets? They look so peaceful up there, but they are absolutely tearing through space at incredible speeds. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly how scientists clock those cosmic speeds. So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with a simple idea we all get, and then we'll launch ourselves into the cosmos. We'll break down the exact formula scientists use. We'll calculate the moon's speed together, and then we'll uncover the cosmic rule that governs the whole shebang. Okay, so before we blast off into orbit, we need to get our feet planted firmly on the ground with a concept we use all the time: speed.
Here on Earth, comparing speeds is pretty simple, right? We know a cheetah is way faster than the fastest human. You can time them over 100 meters and see who wins. Easy. But how in the world do you do that for a planet?
It really all boils down to this one simple idea. Average speed is just the total distance you've traveled divided by the time it took you to do it. It's a super powerful concept that works for cars, for runners, and yeah, even for entire planets.
And that, of course, brings us to the big problem. You can't exactly point a radar gun at the moon or follow it with a stopwatch. So how do physicists know with such amazing accuracy just how fast it's really going up there?
All right, so the trick here is to think of an orbit not as just empty space, but as a giant cosmic racetrack.
An object like our moon is traveling on this predictable, almost perfectly circular path around the Earth. It's basically doing one massive continuous lap, and the shape of that lap is the first big clue we need.
So if we want to use that simple speed formula, distance over time, we just need to figure out two things. How long is that cosmic lap, and how long does it take to finish it?
Now, to solve this puzzle, physicists don't need some futuristic speedometer. All they need is one super elegant and powerful tool: a little bit of math.
And this is it. This is our cosmic speedometer. I know it might look a little intense, but trust me, each part represents something we've already talked about: a distance and a time.
Okay, first up, that V. In physics, V stands for velocity, which for us is the average orbital speed we're trying to figure out. It's the big unknown, the answer we're looking for.
All right, next piece of the puzzle, 2 pi r. This right here solves the distance part of our problem. You might remember it from math class. It's the formula for the circumference of a circle. That's the total length of one full lap on our cosmic racetrack.
And last but not least, we've got T. This stands for the orbital period. That's just the fancy sciencey term for the lap time, the total time it takes for an object to travel that full circle and get right back to where it started. Okay, theory's great, but now for the fun part. Let's actually put this thing to work and calculate the speed of something we all know and love: our own moon. And the cool thing is, we don't have to guess. Astronomers have already figured this stuff out for us. We know the moon's average orbital radius, our R, is about 385,000 kilometers, and its orbital period, T, is 27.3 days. So now it's pretty much plug and play. We just write down our formula, pop in the values for the radius and the period, and then solve for V. The only tricky part is making sure your units match up. And when you crunch the numbers, wow, the result is just incredible. The moon is traveling at roughly 1 kilometer every single second. Just think about that. In the time it took me to say that, the moon just traveled a full kilometer. Let's try to wrap our heads around that, okay? That speed works out to over 3,600 kilometers per hour. That is more than 7 times faster than the fastest production cars ever built. No contest. But why that speed exactly? It's not just some random number. An object's orbital speed is set with absolute precision by a powerful, invisible force that's in charge of the entire solar system. And the answer? It's gravity. For the planets, it's the sun's massive gravitational pull that acts like an invisible string, constantly tugging on them, bending their path into an orbit so they don't just fly off in a straight line into deep space. And this is where it gets really cool, because gravity basically sets the speed limit. The sun's pull is super strong up close, and it gets weaker and weaker the farther out you go. So to fight that powerful inward tug and avoid falling in, planets that are closer to the sun have to move way faster. And you can see this play out perfectly across the solar system. You've got Mercury, the closest planet, just whipping around at almost 48 kilometers a second. Earth's cruising along at a solid 30. But way out there, you have Neptune, which is only feeling a tiny pull from the sun, and it's just moseying along at a relaxed 5.4 kilometers a second.
So what you're seeing is this perfect, delicate dance. It's this precise balance between a planet's forward momentum, its desire to go straight, and the constant inward pull of gravity. If it goes too fast, it escapes. Too slow, and it falls in. It has to be just right.
Which brings us to a final cool little puzzle. Those geostationary satellites that beam down TV and data, they seem to hang perfectly still in one spot in the sky, right? But they're actually flying at over 11,000 kilometers per hour. So, if they seem motionless to us down here, what does that tell you about their orbital period, their lap time, around our planet?